Hey everybody, guess we're back for another I guess we just heard our seventh mixtapes. If you haven't seen us or talked about it, it's me and Dave and Mike just making some reliving the glory days of making mixtapes, I guess 21st century style, where we each pick a song and then talk about them. We pick a theme and talk about music in general and just overall living. So without further ado, I guess we should get started because this week's theme is a little out of it's a little out of my comfort zone, even though I'm the one who picked it, because we all get to pick the themes, and it's country and western. Because I tend to get a little flack for not liking country music, which is true and isn't true. And I think this playlist kind of defines that in the sense that you would not hear most of these songs on any country radio station today, I'm sure. Now, there would be variations of them. There might be some that you'd hear on the radio station. There's some popular ones, obviously, but let's face it, our tastes are a little different. I'm not deep rooted in country music. Obviously, I've been exposed to it. I live in Texas now, but even in Ohio, which I think it's even bigger, and some of those little rural towns that we're all exposed to it. And of course, as we go through this playlist, you'll find out that, of course, a lot of music like jazz has heavily influenced the music that we listen to. And even in my jam band scene, it's a country and western, whether it's a variation of it or as a tinge of it or whatever you want to call it, is huge in the jam band scene. And so with my first song, I picked Yonder Mountain String Band, Steep Grade Sharp Curves, and it's definitely bluegrass. It's hardcore bluegrass, which of course you might think, why does the jam band scene have bluegrass in it? Well, of course, you can go back to Jerry Garcia, where he started as a bluegrass, banjo picking player, and of course, it's big in the jam band scene because it is, it's fun music and it's great music and it's fun to listen to. I saw Yonder Mountain String Band back in '05 is the first time I saw them, and they were actually open, and I'd never heard of them. I've been a little bit exposed to them, and of course when I saw them, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it, these guys are really, really good. And so this is one of the reasons I picked this song, as to kind of just jumpstart this thing going, and to one of my influences into the country and music. Yonder Mountain is still around, although their lead singer, who passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, Jeff Austin, he was kind of the heart and soul, but he was a little out of control. But he was on this song, so here we go. Steep grade, sharp curves. Just a great general overall song. Does have that little ending that added on. I think they just added to the fun of seeing them in concert. I think I saw them 3 or 4 times while I was out there, so a lot of fun.
Well, I thought it was a great start. Putting bluegrass on to start was a way to go. Even though I don't listen to a lot of bluegrass, as I started listening and going through some of my collection of country western songs, I actually realized I had quite a bit of that type of style, even though it's not really per se a bluegrass band or something like you mentioned, but other artists like to try to do that from time to time. So I kind of quickly discovered that really that spans across lots of different types of country music. Country music, even though I can't say that it's my favorite, but I do listen to quite a bit of it, mainly the older stuff. The new stuff, I catch some of it here on the radio here and there, but it all seems to sound the same kind of to me now. But so I kind of like to go back to the classic stuff, or at least the stuff that's the last 20 or 30 years, and that's kind of influenced what I like to listen to. And I always like the acoustic stuff. I always like that kind of thing in all the different musical genres. So country western is one of those ones for me that it was easy. It was easy to pick songs, and wasn't sure what you were going to do, Jose. Wasn't sure what Mike was going to do. That's always the fun of these mixtapes and these playlists. is because we don't know what they're going to do. And so I think we've decided that when we build the playlist, we listen to them live. So we listen to each other's songs in that hour and a half, or whatever it takes to listen to it, because in that moment, other songs pop into your head, or other things happen, and for whatever reason, I think the combination of this playlist, the way it played out, each song follows each song in just a very rhythmic and great way, I think. So when Jose's playing the jam bands, which we know he's going to do, and he played many of them, but Mike and I could kind of balance it with some of the easier, softer stuff, some of the more slower acoustic stuff, so it wasn't just jam band all the time. But I think it worked out really good. I thought the selection. We'll talk later on about our other selections that we made and why. I'd never heard of this band, but I think they've. I enjoyed it. I especially liked whatever you call that fake ending. Like, it looks like they're going to end the song. They get to the end, and then, oh no, we're not done yet. We're going to keep on jamming, And I actually liked that. That was a pretty cool thing that they added in. So well done on good start.
Yeah, I agree. And on the fake ending first, I've actually mulled the idea of a whole list of songs with fake endings or fake whatevers. I don't know, that'd probably be a bit much. But yeah, and Jose, don't sell yourself short. I mean, you listen to Neil Young, you listen to, the Grateful Dead. There is a lot of country and bluegrass and other stuff. A lot of the stuff you've listened to, I know you've gotten some ribbing from these quarters on about that, but yeah, I think that kind of stuff was my first kind of dipping my toe into country music. And it wasn't until later I started listening to the really early nasally fiddle, whatever, Hank Williams and all that stuff, which I love. I even come to appreciate George Jones, and he's kind of really out there in the country world. But anyway, getting off on a tangent here. This song, I guess the first lesson from this song is, we should all know this by now, don't pick up hitchhikers. This guy, it's like he gets a roofie or something. He just goes through this situation where he's enamored by this girl, and she robs him blind. And the last you see is she's smiling at him as he's in the rearview mirror on the side of the road or whatever, which comes up in another song, one of my songs soon. But yeah, I like it. It's interesting. The first one, I was listening, I heard the name, and I'd heard of them before, but the first song, I was like, well, this to me seems a little more on the jam bandy end than maybe, pure bluegrass. But you can hear all the instruments in there: mandolin, banjo, fiddle, guitar. But that second part, boy, they go into a full bore. And I liked it all. The second one, I was trying to figure out, is what he's doing exactly? Is he trying to do scat, like you do in jazz, or I don't want to cause any troubles here, but it's almost sounded like he's speaking in tongues a little bit. I mean, he's really so maybe you can tell me what was going on there, Jose. What is that? Just a thing they do?
Jeff Austin is one of those kind of frontman personalities who was out there, and let's just say he made some poor choices in his life. But when he was on top of there, he was electric up there, and he always seemed to be putting on a show. And that was part of his shtick. There wasn't really a de facto leader, but let's face it, he was kind of the de facto leader. So he always kind of wanted to put on a show up there. And of course, there's a lot of stories swirling around him of all his excesses in life. And no, you hate to say that no one was surprised that he died young, because he did. But at the same time, people understood because of that. But that also made him unique and interesting in the sense that when you saw him on stage, he controlled that thing. And I think that was just a part of him having a lot of fun, doing a lot, putting on his show, making bluegrass interesting, really, just throwing it out there. And so, like I said, when I first saw him, I was just like, man, these guys are really, really good. And like Dave said, just to see their musicianship alone, it's a stand-up bass, and then of course, like you said, banjo is four of them. I think there's five in the band now, but there was four of them: mandolin, banjo, acoustic guitar, stand-up bass. And I mean, in this song, and one of the reasons I chose the song is because each of them gets a chance to shine in the song. And that, but yeah, as far as Jeff Austin, I'm probably speaking in tongues is probably the best way to say it.
I'm going to listen to it some more to kind of figure it out exactly where he's going with that. But it's a great sound. It's fun. A little short capper to that song. So I had the next song, and this was Willie Nelson, Me and Paul, which is kind of a autobiographical in a way. It's a reference to Paul English, who was his drummer. And I did do a little research on this. He kind of was well known out there, and among other things, the Farm Aid board, when they first fired up Farm Aid, he was one of the 5 or 6 or so. You knew Mellencamp was on there, and Neil Young, and Willie, and I'm sure I'm forgetting. I don't know if Dylan was on there, but he was too. So anyway, I didn't know that he didn't really ever get the limelight, Paul English. But this is kind of their adventures, and it's a fun little song. That's kind of one thing I like about these songs coming up, mostly with some very stark exceptions. There's humor to it, even when they're talking about something kind of messed up happening. As in the last song, somebody getting robbed and whatever, used by somebody he's hoping to trust. So yeah, it's a good song. And just one last thing, Willie was I talked about dipping my toe into country music. He was probably the first artist I got into in country music. And I'll tell you, as a kid, I didn't like his music. I didn't get it. I thought it was stuff that old folks listened to. And it's funny because most of these songs I put on here, I didn't really like the musicians at first. It's something that's grown on me. But yeah, so that wasn't the first Willie song I knew, but it definitely is one of my favorites. So
yeah, no, I this is more the traditional sense of a country song, although it's not in the traditional sense of pickup truck and beating my wife or kicking my dog. Anyway, I guess I'm stereotyping them a little too much. But anyway, I really like this song. Obviously, we all know Willie Nelson, but like you, Mike, we'd hear. Because and it was growing up in Texas, you hear Willie Nelson. You just do. Whether you want to or not, you're going to hear Willie Nelson. And I remember one of my first assignments at SWT or Texas State was Willie Nelson was coming to Southwest Texas State, and I had to rewrite the press release. And so all of a sudden, when you rewrite something, you don't want it to sound exactly like the press release. So you rewrite stuff, you look up stuff, back then you listen to stuff. So that was kind of my really first dip into that pool, so to speak, of listening to Willie Nelson and realizing, how really influential he was and really great he was as a songwriter. I mean, people tend to forget how great of a songwriter he is. And so, no, I really like the song. Of course, telling a story, we all love that in our songs, and it's a fun song to listen to for sure.
Well, I like Willie Nelson as well. I probably don't know his whole catalog. I'm kind of like, the greatest hits and a few others kind of thing. But is he like 90 now or something like that? He's like way up there, right? And still performing. He's one of those signature sounds. When you hear a song, that's Willie Nelson. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's the draw of him. But it's also that I love how he collaborates with so many people. I mean, you could probably pick 150 artists or more that he has done things with, over the years. In fact, later on in our playlist, we'll say, Jose was saying, well, can I break the rule and play Willie Nelson? And I thought about that too, because I had a Waylon Jennings song that he plays on. I had there's a couple other ones that he does, and so I thought about breaking that rule as well. I love the song that you put on. I don't know that I knew that song. I think maybe I'd heard it once or twice, but it's going to become a favorite on my playlist now. Um, because of the way, again, and I didn't know that either about his drummer, and so I looked that up, and so this was, you know, him and Paul, they were close for many years, you know, 50 years I think they said that they played together and did all that. And so when I listen to the song, I kind of think about some of the escapades we had in the day, you know, and maybe San Marcos or some other place doesn't take too kindly to Jose and me, or you know, or Mike and me, or whatever, from some of the things we did. But I like the theme of that song, and just loved it. So with that, it was my turn for the selection, and I thought, and I don't know why I put this song on. This isn't like a song that I've known for a long time. You know, as we have these YouTube Music and Apple Music and these different things, when you start putting type something in, you start listening to some of your favorite songs or 70s singer songwriters, whatever, it'll start playing those, and then it'll slip in a song that you don't know. Right, it's going to think for you and just start putting in some songs by artists that maybe you don't know. And that's what happened on this song about 2 months ago. I was listening to some, you know, probably some Neil Young or some whatever it was. You know, it was kind of that country kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden this song came on, and at first I was going to be like, I don't know, I think and I started listening to it, and I'm like, this is a clever song. I like this. I like the words of it, the song. It's called The Winner by Bobby Bare. Never knew who Bobby Bare was, and he wasn't a big commercial artist, although he did play with some people, some of the bigger artists in the 70s. He took some Chris Christopherson songs I later researched and redid some of those. He did some other covers as well, but this was one of his original songs that he wrote. And it's, you know, tells a story about a guy goes into a bar and wants to pick a fight with some young guy, pick a fight with the guy who's always known as the winner, and you know, and see if he can take him out. And then the guy starts telling him all his stories about how he became a winner, and breaking bones, and all the different things he had to go through to get there, and makes him think, hey, do you sure you still want to be a winner? You know, and at the end he said, I'm just going to sit here and sip my beer, and you can call yourself the winner if you want, but I'm gonna leave with everything intact. And I like the song, the message of it, and so yeah, I thought it was a good thing after the Willie Nelson song. I thought it went well, and hope you all enjoyed the fun of it.
I had heard of Bobby Bare, but I can't tell you that I'd heard any of his songs. I'm not sure that I'd heard this one, and I wasn't sure why when I saw The Winner. I wasn't sure what that was going to be, but it's again humor, humor in country music. It's it should be a real good motivation for anybody who's thinking drinking a hell of a lot is a good thing to do. And going to a bar, because this guy makes some pretty bad choices pretty quick, and he's lucky this old dude is an old dude who's about worn out. Yeah, it was I liked it. Shoot, I was gonna say something else, but it's escaped me.
While you're thinking of that, I'm just going to jump back in and just say, and I don't know how this happened, but there's a theme that's going to start with my songs and go through all of them. And every one of them had beer references in every single one of my songs. And just for the record, I don't drink beer, but every one of my songs has a beer reference in it. And there were at least 3 of them, I think, that also made reference to San Antone. So you got that going as well. I don't know how that happened, but beer and San Antone were in a lot of the songs. So sorry to cut you off, Mike. Go back to you.
No, it's fine. The only thing I would add to build on that, I don't drink beer anymore, but you know, I certainly did. And there's a song coming up that I'll address that a little bit more. So I appreciate it.
That's funny because I don't think any of us drink beer. So what are we gonna do None of us really drink beer. That's kind of funny. Because I don't drink all that much. I will have an occasional one in a million years, but no, I don't drink. But going back to the song, I love this song. I think this was a great choice. I love the real message of it, and the real message is what is a winner? You know, you want to call yourself a winner. Being a winner to this guy was, I'm going to beat the winner up, while the winner's telling him, yeah, be the winner. You know, you get the woman that you fought for that you hate now. You know, you take on the broken bones. You take on the teeth that were rolling down in San Antonio. Sure, the winner is such a great thing to be the winner. Everyone wants to be the winner, and then he's realizing, yeah, maybe being the winner isn't the greatest thing in the world. But even the guy tells him at the end, go ahead, you're the winner, go for it. And I thought that was a great message. You know, through that humor, you get that interpretation of, yeah, being the winner maybe isn't all cracked up to be. So sure, everyone wants to be the winner, but maybe not so much. You know, what it takes to be the winner, and is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to be the winner? Now, obviously, there's a lot of context there of what a winner is and what a winner isn't. But in this case, I thought it was great that, like Mike said, you know, you get a little drunk, you get a little courage, you want to go beat up the guy, you want to say, I could show them. And then you're like, okay, what did you accomplish? What did you really accomplish? You know, other than probably losing a few teeth and get to say that you're the winner that no one really cares about in the next 2 weeks, other than the reputation that you might get. In which it's like the old gunslinger. You become a gunslinger, but then someone's always out there to gun you down. So call yourself the best gunslinger, but usually you end up dead anyway. So anyway, maybe
Did either of you ever win in any of those college party drinking games?
No comment on that.
Yeah, same here. Nope.
But I probably drank my fair share.
I guess you have to define what winning is in those games.
There you go.
It's hurling, puking, hurling, right?
We've all been there, I'm sure.
Again, no comment.
The winner.
What was it? Quarters, bouncing quarters into a cup. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, great selection, Dave. I thought, man, you know, I guess it's part of the algorithm nation that we are part of, but I'm glad they turned you on to that song for sure. So, okay, and then moving on, my selection, it kind of fits in, although probably not California Sober. And it was a little, what Dave alluded to earlier about breaking the rules. This is Billy Strings, called California Sober. Little background on Billy Strings. To me, again, going back to the jam band scene, he seems to be the latest jam band darling, is what I call it. The latest, I don't want to say flavor of the month, because he's been around for 3 or 4 years and he's been entertainer of the year, and he is really good. Am I into him? I'm not. I know his music because I'm around the jam band scene, and you hear, and people love this guy. And I did, you know, I'll listen to it because, of course, you want to hear what people are talking about, and he's really good. I picked this song also because, like Dave alluded to, breaking the rules a little. Willie Nelson was a collaborator with him, and like Billy Strings, like Willie Nelson, collaborates with a lot of people. So it was nice to see him kind of pay respect to his roots with going with Willie Nelson and singing the song about, and of course, I'm sure Willie Nelson knows plenty about being California sober. We'll just leave it at that. So if you don't know what California sober is, you probably guess. But I thought it was great that they included him. I thought the music was fantastic. I would highly recommend people check out Billy Strings if you get a chance. He's really good. Like I said, he's newer to the scene for most of us. I'm just to that age now where it's hard to get used to newer bands. Do I want to really go follow this guy? Do I really delve into it? But he's well worth listening to. And I thought the added portion of Willie Nelson gave it that the country certified sort of thing. So I hope y'all enjoyed that song.
I did. I thought it was a good follow up actually to the song I just played, and you know, it's still about drinking, but as he says, you know, we don't party like we used to, and now he's California sober, so he still does, but not to the excess that he did in his youth, in the days of past. So I thought that was good. I like the message of it. I like the tune. I thought it was a simple tune, but really enjoyed the collaboration and hearing Willie Nelson. I like how he even said, play it, Willie. Come on now, and pick it, Willie, and then Willie takes off from there. And so yeah, it was a great song. I loved it. Good choice.
Yeah, me too. The couple things to say about this. I mean, it's just a fun song. Um, I'm never one to turn away from stating the obvious. So just in case you don't get what California sober is, just think of what's legal in California and Colorado and not in other states, some other states. Okay, I'll leave that there. I just couldn't let it go. And then the whole story there is he's drinking like crazy, and then it's just too much. And Willie has a verse in there where he talks about it too. I'm sure Willie's lived that. But at age 90 or whatever he is now, he's probably not been doing that for some time. And I kind of had the reverse experience. I spent a lot of years California's sober, and realized, man, this is I'm doing this too much. I can't, I'll just put it out there. I'm kind of addicted with everything I do. I cannot eat just one candy bar in a package. I can't eat a little bit out of a pint of ice cream. Anything else I've done, I just tend to do it to the max. So I have to watch myself, and thus it was for that. And so I go, I've got an idea. I'll just drink beer instead. Well, that didn't exactly give it a few years, and it became clear that didn't work out well for me either. So how about we just kind of lay low on that and try not to eat too much chocolate, stay away from buckets of fried chicken. Anyway, all that aside, I like this song a lot. Having Willie in there for a verse was really nice. And yeah, it's good we could have put more of him on with other people, I'm sure. And there's other artists that coming up on songs that they kind of, there's echoes of them in other songs that we have on the list. So anyway, my next one is Lyle Lovett. That's right. It's actually that the words are, that's right. It's You're Not From Texas. The first thing I'll say about this is it doesn't sound like country if you were to hear that. Next to, I gave the example of George Jones, Trace Atkins, or I don't know, any number of and especially older hardcore, crying in your beer dudes. But this is an example of, bluegrass we had on here, frankly, jam band stuff, rock and roll. Its roots their roots all have a big part out of country. And there's a thing which you probably know called Texas Swing, mostly best known for Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys, who did a ton of songs that you probably heard if you're familiar with any country music, including a few about San Antonio. And I was gonna put something on there, but I thought this is a little more modern. And Lyle Lovett's such a talent and so funny. So I put that on. So anyway, the title says it all. It's basically a lot of Texas pride, and of course he's poking fun at that too. He's not saying, this is how it should be. Big attitudes, big personality, all hat, no cattle, all that stuff. But there's a couple of, we're talking about the Hitchhiker. I was earlier. This song, it's not a hitchhiker, but it's she's a person who dares question why he loves Texas. So, and then the next verse, he's describing watching her wave goodbye. She looks so lovely as he left her, seeing her in the rearview mirror, left her by the side of the road. So you don't ask that question to this kind of guy, apparently. There's one other thing I'd like to add. He mentions a few guys. They were from something called Uncle Walt's Band, who started out in North Carolina or South Carolina. Anyway, one of the Carolinas, and he mentions them. And he name checks 3 guys from it: Walter Hyatt, I'm going to remember now, I'm forgetting now, David Ball, and Champ Hood. And they all kind of went on. The band moved to Austin. They all they broke up after a while, and they all kind of did their own things, but they became really well known and influential in some ways, including for Lyle Lovett in the Texas music scene, particularly Austin. Lucinda Williams, who I'll have on in a little while, also was influenced by them. Anyway, I think only one of them's still alive. I think Camp Hood has died. I hope I'm getting that right. But you may have heard this story. Uncle Walter Hyatt, was flying in the brand was Funjet, and he was in this flight going somewhere in Florida to somewhere else, probably Carolina, one of the Carolinas, and there was down in the hold, they had somebody improperly stored some oxygen tanks that tended to heat up, and that caught fire, and basically the plane nosedived into the Everglades. That killed everybody on board, and in the end destroyed that company, which I don't have a problem with that. So I can end on that down note, but that's just kind of a connect. That's who he's referring to in this song. But I love this one. I still listen to it. I bought the CD in the 90s, and I still listen to it. So,
yeah, no, it's a great tune, and it's funny when I moved from Texas because, like most people who grow up in Texas, you are ingrained with Texas pride. It's just one of those things. All Texans have that Texas pride. So when I moved to Ohio, all of a sudden it's like you realize, two things. A lot of people don't like Texans. I don't know why. They just don't. Maybe because we think everything's bigger and better, and that's probably true. And that's probably why they don't like us. But it's funny that when you live 33 years in Ohio, then now, am I really, that's right, I'm from Texas, but am I from Texas? Or, do you have to be natural born, or do you have to be part of that? So it's a fun song. Believe me, it's a fun song. But I also like the introspection of, well, that's right, you're not from Texas, but Texas wants you anyway. It's kind of funny because if you said that to somebody, they'd probably like, well, why does Texas want me? I don't want to. I always say the analogy, Texans are always proud of Texas, and that's a great thing. And you don't really see that in other states. Even in Ohio, their main thing is everyone loves Ohio State Buckeyes. That's kind of their consensus thing. Unlike Texas, where Texans wear Texas, the emblem of Texas. We love Texas. It's all about that. Ohio State is like, oh, we're there. We all love Ohio State, and they all wear Ohio State gear, but it's not like, oh, we're all Ohio proud, even though they are. They're proud of their state. But I have to admit, there is nothing like Texas pride, and this song kind of brings it out there. And, of course, Lyle Lovett, who I really don't listen to all that much, although I found out my little brother's seen him 5 times. Who knew? I guess my little brother's a little more into country and western than I thought. But he said he saw him 5 times, and he knew the song right off the bat. So, a great, fabulous song, that Texas swing. You can't deny that's just a fun tune to go with. But I like it because it really, it makes you think about state pride and what people really think about state pride.
I loved the song, and like Jose was saying, okay, so I spent 20 years growing up in Texas, and then moved away, but I've been in Colorado for 34 years now, and I'm like, okay, they got to a point where I kind of assimilated myself more with Colorado than I did with Texas. But you can take the boy out of Texas, but you can't take the Texas out of the boy. And it's still always in me, and so I really liked the swing. I liked the song. I'd never heard it before. But I thought it was clever. I liked the lyrics of it, and as I was listening to it, as we already mentioned before, as I was listening to it, I went, okay, man, I got 2 or 3 great songs that will follow this one, and I didn't know which one to play, but staying with that Texas theme, I went ahead and did another Jerry Jeff Walker. Okay, if Jose can keep going with Mo and Warren Haynes, I'm going to keep going with Jerry Jeff. But he had a couple of songs about it. He's got lots of songs about Texas, probably like 10 songs, But I picked the one that had more of the the references and things about Texas. And of course, a cold Lone Star in my hand, and a burrito. But you know what? I never drank a Lone Star beer ever. I don't. Not sure why, but I guess that was the state beer. I knew they had Texas the long necks and stuff there, and but no, never had a Lone Star. But anyway, I like the fact that it's a Gary P. Nunn song actually, and Jared Jeff sings it with him, and goes into all of the different, what do I like about Texas, and he mentions all the major landmarks and the cities of South Texas and the Rio Grande and driving into San Antonio and El Camino and all of that, So I just like the fun party nature of the song, and coming off of the previous song about Texas, I said this one will go real well. So yeah, it's one of my favorite Jerry Jeff songs.
And just making sure I like the song too. I hope I got the right one because I know I'm wondering if the song Viva Lukenbach, right? That was the song.
It's What I Like About Texas.
Okay, well,
Did
I have
you
a
listen to
confession
the wrong
here that
one?
I had the wrong song. The album is Viva Lukenbach, and I have the song Viva Lukenbach.
Oh,
So I was prepared to talk about that
What
one.
song did you listen to, Jose?
I think I wrote down What I Like About Texas, but maybe we were listening to Viva Lukenbach because he does make a lot of mention about Lukenbach. But when I first heard it, when you first picked it, we heard that other one because they talk about the Alamo and that kind of stuff. But I guess you're right. When they're talking about Lukenbach, all I'm thinking of is, if you're not from Texas, you don't know Lukenbach. I mean,
when I put it on, I put the right song on and listened to it. So while we were listening to the song, you guys were listening to the wrong song, I guess. But
no, I think what happened is, I don't know, but I sent a playlist out, and I had the wrong song the whole time. Apparently, I don't know why. I think that the name of the song is Viva Lukenbach and the album is, and so if you looked at that playlist, you would have seen that song on there.
That's right, it is. Now you're right.
I don't go back to your playlist just because, for whatever reason, I go ahead and build my playlist while we're doing it. So I have the Apple playlist on my computer, and I didn't go back and click on the other one. So hey, all right, we can. So you can change the playlist back, but and you're not going to be able to comment on the song, unless I play it right now for
No, I'm good with that. This is one of my. I'll own this one, so I don't really have anything else to add except I like Jared Jeff Walker, and actually, Viva Lukenbach is a reference. The record, in a way, is a sequel to Viva Terlingua, which was, I don't know about this one, but that one was all recorded at the dance hall in Lukenbach. Also features Gary P. Nunn and some songs you might have heard, but we'll talk about that some other time when somebody actually plays one of the songs. But thank you, Dave. I will fix it on the list we post, and I will listen to it after this conversation. But
there you go.
That's about all I got.
Well, you could keep picking Jerry Jeff Walker songs. Even Viva Lukenbach I thought was a great song, and I enjoyed it because again, it does flow with that in the sense that yes, Lukenbach was kind of made famous by what was the Willie Nelson or the Waylon Jennings song where Lukenbach, Texas, but that's a Texas song if there ever was one, because let's face it, Lukenbach is just a building basically out there in the middle of nowhere, but it's kind of the thing about we're Texans, we understand, we know how to play country music and be, so you keep picking those Jerry Jeff Walker. I thought it was a great song. I thought Viva Lukenbach was great, even though we don't get to hear. That's what I think about Texas, because I do like Texas.
Well, get off tonight. Listen to what I like about Texas, and you'll.
I will do, and I think I'll do penance at some point for this mistake I'll use up one of my songs in a future playlist playing the song Viva Lukenbach, and there you go.
No, that's all good. It's all good.
Oh yeah, I'm just joking.
Okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to move along. And I didn't write anything about Texas, and so you couldn't get. But I, like Dave says, I love my certain groups, and Mo is one of my certain groups, and Mo is definitely not a country and western group if there ever was one. They just not are. But they, for some reason, on occasion, they have two songs that sound country. One's called Queen of the Rodeo, and one's called Backwoods. This is Backwoods, and I don't even think they play it anymore, but they used to play it, and it just has that country twang to it. But what I really like about this song is it's it's any kid who grew up in the suburbs can kind of identify with this song. You go out and play, go find something to do, go see something. It's just you live in. They call it the backwoods, but even he, they joke at the end that it's he has suburban angst. But it's one of those songs where I think every kid can identify who's ever grown up in the 70s and 80s, where it was just like your mom's like, go out and play, go out and do something, stop bothering, and then you did stuff on your own and you found stuff to do. And then of course there was always a big party at some point with the picnic, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a fun song that I picked that I thought was pretty cool. Again, since I'm not Mr. Country, those are the things that always catch me off guard, and this was one of those songs that catches you off guard. So yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah,
it's your turn.
So I liked it because it flowed really good after what I like about Texas, but it's okay. No, it flowed really good. When you're listening to it though on Apple, the playlist and everything, you can't. It's live, so it doesn't give you the lyrics. So you have to kind of listen to them, whatever. You have to know what they're saying. But no, I liked it. I thought it was a great tune. It was just following the same like kind of thing. It's like, so we kind of had the right rhythm of each of the songs, and then back to kind of the jam band thing again, and it flowed real good, and it really sets up the next two songs to kind of bring it down a little bit. And so I thought it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to move on from my mistakes and not discuss them anymore. I will keep. I guess I do this every time I mix up the order, but I'm not discussing that anymore. This song, yeah. First off, the theme of the song. It's like I was there as a kid too, and it's funny. It's like there's nothing to do. There's a lot of stuff to do. And your parents will tell you that. Like, I don't know what to do. There's nothing to do. There's a lot of stuff to do, and he goes through them in this song, and sometimes they're you're getting yourself in a little bit of trouble, smoking cigarettes or whatever. And I guess I can't speak for any of you guys, but I certainly got in that kind of trouble as a kid. The song though I thought was interesting. One thing I picked up on is it has this kind of Johnny Cash thing to it. I know it doesn't sound like it, but the pace, kind of the rhythm. If you've ever heard Live at Folsom Prison, there's a couple of songs on there that really have this kind of thing going. And obviously he didn't do, the lyrics weren't really kind of what he did, but I thought it was nice to hear that in there. So yeah, appreciate it. And Mo also, I'm coming to appreciate them more. So we'll give them some more listens. I'm sure you'll have some more on here. My next song, okay, I mentioned there were particular artists I didn't really like at first, and I thought this song, it's Love Hurts by I'm going blank, Graham Parsons, and actually Emmylou Harris too. Okay, so I only heard this relatively recently, within the last year or two, and really fell in love with it. The thing is, though, it's much more well known by the band Nazareth. I'm sure if you listen to any oldie station, it's going to be on there pretty soon. I heard it played a lot, and in full candor, I really didn't like that song. I don't know, something about the way they sing it. I believe you guys have seen Nazareth. That's fine. Maybe there's other stuff there's I would like if I could think of it, but so I didn't have much interest in that. And then I heard this, and I'm like, well, this must have been before that, so maybe he wrote it. And I looked up, no, actually, it was the Everly Brothers. I've never heard their version. And then a lot of other people covered it too. But I really, Graham Parsons he was in bands that also kind of crossed over in the realm of rock and roll. And a lot of them, well, the couple I can think of, I like a lot. And he had a tragically short life due to excesses. And if you're ever interested, look up kind of what happened after, in the immediate aftermath of his death. It's if you can say a comical story following somebody's death, in a way it kind of is. It's just an odd story. But I love this song. It's just so, even having that other one in my mind, it stands on its own. It has, there's really, you can feel that pain in their voices. Emmylou Harris too. So I just want to throw that one out there. I appreciate it, guys.
No. Yeah, as you mentioned, the Nazareth, we all know the Nazareth version. And like I said, Dave and I went to see Nazareth. The thing I really remember about that is one guy was about to get punched right before the lights went down. That's basically Nazareth, is what that concert I remember. But this song, I went through when we were preparing for this country and western, Graham Parsons, or mainly the Flying Burrito Brothers, because that's who I listen to a lot. I have my phase of Flying Burrito Brothers. And while they're not, they had their, they were kind of, their moment came and gone, so to speak, but Graham Parsons was the main person behind that. And they're just some nice songs that he sings. But they're both mostly known for doing Wild Horses by the Rolling Stones. They do a cover of that. And so now it's a great choice. And the song, this version, really, really, we can all identify with How Love Hurts. And having the female voice in there also, just adds an element to it. And like Mike said, I read about Graham Parsons and just recently in a book that I've been reading, and it told the tale of how his body got stolen and buried in Joshua Tree. Anyway, it's the whole thing, but it is a fun read. But I thought the song was great, and we all know the song, we just know different versions of it.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said, when you put the song on, and then the first thing that popped into my head was the Nazareth song, and I didn't know which came first. I kind of maybe assumed the same thing, that this was an old country song, and then Nazareth redid it. But it was the other way around. I'm going to have to check out the Everly Brothers version. I always like to, when there's a song like that, I always like to go back to the original one and hear what that sounds like. Even though we did the covers thing already, and sometimes the covers are even better than the originals. I have to say that now that I heard this version of it, and liking the country western thing, I'm going to probably put the Nazareth one on the shelf because I liked just the style of it and the sweetness of it and the harmony of it, and yeah, you can't go wrong when you put those two good voices together with a classic kind of song like this one. And it's true, love hurts. We've all been through it, for sure. I really liked it. It brought the mood down too on the playlist, because we'd been kind of going pretty quick, and then it's like, okay, let's go into something slower, and then. So after that, I said, well, should we bring it back up or should we keep it down? And I said, you know what, let's just stay down for a while. And so, love hurts, but so does, as Chris Christopherson describes in Sunday Morning Coming Down, with no way. And he says, well, I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. So there's the connection with Love Hurts. His head is hurting pretty bad. And then I mentioned the beer references again. He said, and the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert. And it's just a slow moving song, but it just describes how you're coming off of a rough night and listen to the sounds of the people going about their thing at church or frying chicken or swinging in the park, and you're just, there's not the Sunday morning coming down, he's hung over, he's worn out, and but I like the tune. I had heard the Johnny Cash version. I think was the first one I heard of this song, and then I said, "Wait a minute, I don't think Johnny Cash wrote that." And then realized that Chris Christopherson had wrote it and performed it as one of his classic signature songs that he did. And but yeah, so I thought I'd go back to the original with Chris Christopherson, even though we may know the Johnny Cash version. And then if you get a chance, I think it's Trace Atkins or something redid it again a few years ago, and just did a phenomenal version of it. So if you get a chance to check that out, but yeah, I liked the slow moving storyline of it, and hearing Chris Christopherson sing it. You know, he'll tell you he's not always the best, most acclaimed, you know, country singer, but he sure does know how to write good songs, and people have made a lot out of taking some of his songs and making them real popular. Obviously, Me and Bobby McGee is probably the most famous one. I think he wrote that one, right? And so, yeah, that's one of the ones. And so, but this is right up there. I love this one as well. So hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I also was initially more familiar with the Johnny Cash version. In fact, that's the only one I heard for years. And you know, I think my mom had a Chris Christopherson greatest hits record, and as a kid, I just wasn't resonating with me. I think part of it was, you know, his singing style, but you know, I like Neil Young, I like Bob Dylan, and Tom Waits. Who am I to complain about the way Chris Christopherson sings? And of course, my opinion of that has changed. The other thing I would say about Chris Christopherson generally is, to me, I knew him more as an actor before I knew him as a musician. The first R-rated movie I got into was the one he did with Barbra Streisand, A Star Is Born, back in the mid '70s. Me and my buddy, I don't know why we went to see this, you know, as 10-year-olds or whatever we were when it came out. They just let us go right in. They didn't, but those are different times. Yeah, so that aside. And he's done some other great roles. There's this movie Lone Star. He plays a really good bad guy in that one. But anyway, that aside, the song, I think one of the things I really like, and I could hear it more kind of in his version of it, his take on it, which is the original, is it's like it's about a hangover, of course, and his experiences, but there's like a whole other story that he's not really telling directly. He's like giving you these images and things that make him feel lonely, and there's something else that's happened that he's lost, and you get the feeling he's had more than a few of those, not just Sunday mornings, you know, where he's having a rough time at it, and he's kind of going around. It's making him feel worse. Smelling the fried chicken, hearing kids sing in church, and you know, seeing a kid kick a can down the road, and all that stuff. So it's a powerful and you know, sad song, but it's a great song. Yeah. Thank you.
No, and this touches on something that we've talked about before, about listening to songs like when you were younger, and then listening to songs as you're an adult. And I think this is one of those things. When you're a kid, a Sunday morning is a whole lot different than as you were an adult, or even in your 20s. And of course, we can all identify with Chris Christopherson's hangover. I'm not saying that y'all had hangovers all the time, but you know, we've all been there. And then to wake up to Sunday morning and how life develops differently for other people in that Sunday morning. There's a kid doing this. You can smell the fried chicken. And I think we all can identify with that, as well as saying, that's right, I remember, you know, mom cooking bacon. Or, you know, initially I thought, is this guy homeless? Because I think Mike touches on that a little. There's a whole different thing there. It's like he's lonely, you know. And initially I thought, is this guy homeless? Because he's just walking the streets and he's picking up all these vibes. So either he's walking through a neighborhood, you know, his neighborhood, and seeing how different it is, but just taking it in, you know, and understanding that there's other people living lives. And I think Mike, you touched greatly on this, is that, yeah, there's something else going on here. It's not just this is what I'm experiencing, but he's talking about what other people are experiencing. But what is he experiencing? And it sounds like he's experiencing like, why aren't I enjoying some of those things that these people are enjoying? So anyway, very powerful song. I really liked it a lot. I'm with you, Mike. I do Chris Christopherson as a movie star. Some say love. Yeah, we hated that song and stuff. You had to hear that song endlessly, but but he's a fascinating individual. Rhodes Scholar. He was in the Army. He has lots of stuff going for him, and of course, a songwriter's what least amount people identify with. But like Dave said, most people have cashed in on his songwriting for sure, and it's good to hear that this song, and you can hear it in his voice. Like, man, this is what I've experienced. So, no, I really enjoy.
Hey, Jose, before you do your next thing, though, I want to make another comment. He had another song, and you had the song with Emmylou Harris and Graham Parsons, right? The Sweet Love Hurts song, and I wrote this down, but I hadn't thought about playing the song. But he has another song, and this is just for you to look up later on. It's called "Please Don't Tell Me How the Story Ends," and it's another song that Chris Christopherson wrote, but he sings it with Rita Coolidge, another classic lady of country music. And so if you get a chance to listen to it, it's kind of like that just same vibe with the Love Hurts kind of thing, but it's called "Please Don't Tell Me How the Story Ends," and it's a beautiful duet with Rita Coolidge.
Yeah, great suggestion. Yeah, that's one of the reasons we do this. We just keep discovering good new music, and we can recommend anything, and that's always a bonus for us. And be sure to check that out. Now, I kind of went a different direction. I know, big surprise, and of course, was a little cheating. I picked Dawn of the Buffalo, Conscious Evolution. Now, Dawn of the Buffalo is definitely not a country, but has that country feel. They're more, if you listen to a lot of Dawn of the Buffalo, they come from the jam bands. I don't know. They're out from upstate New York, but they have it's not a country and Western, obviously not country and Western, but it has that down to earth folksy. And I wanted to add that as kind of an influence to groups that I listen to that have that. And of course, this Conscious Evolution is just a fun song, and of course, a song with a message. We're all growing consciously. We should, and we can constantly. But I always loved this group the first time I heard them, and they have sometimes a Zydeco feel to it, and they have a woman singer. So I just wanted to expose y'all, thank you, y'all, and other people to Dawn of the Buffalo. If you ever get a chance to hear Dawn of the Buffalo, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And this is just one of those songs that really kind of speaks to me on a number of different levels. And I just thought I'd throw it in. Again, I cheated a little. It's not country like we heard a lot of these songs, which are just straight country. This is I consider it more of a country tinge song, so to speak.
Well, it was it brought it right back up. Man, I love that. It was like we were going slow, and then boom, brought it back up. I never heard of the group at all, or the song, but I liked the repetition of it too. That it kept repeating kind of the same Conscious Evolution, and doing that. And I don't know. I kind of got into it. I really enjoyed it. Again, whether you say it's country or not, I felt like it was because it flowed right nicely on the playlist, and so no, wouldn't have any regrets there on that. It brought it back up again, and we needed that. I think if you'd put one more slow song on there, I'd be falling asleep or something. But yeah, that was good.
Or you'd be crying in your beer.
Right.
You were drinking
I don't drink. Yeah, that's right.
So first question. Well, I have a question first. I've heard of them, but I always wondered where the name comes from. Do you have any idea, Jose?
No, I never really looked that up. I just, they were exposed to me by my friends. I was at a festival, and they're like, "Hey, have you heard Dawn of the Buffalo?" And I'm like, "No, I've never heard this before in my life." And all of a sudden, when they put it on, I was like, for the next, I'm like you, Mike. I have an addictive personality. The next 3 months were nothing but Dawn of the Buffalo, whatever they played. But so,
well, it is a good message, and I hear that Zydeco in this. I was like forgetting. I was trying to remember what, that rhythm that you hear in a lot of music out of New Orleans and other parts of Louisiana, sure. But I was like, what is that called? I'm like, it's like Creole, whatever. It's not this, it's not that. And I just, for some reason, I could not get that word, but thank you. Now I remember. I like, the repetition, but I also like it is uplifting, but it's also kind of, I get the sense that it's realizing that not everybody realizes we're living on a learning curve. Some people think they got it, or some people think they really don't have it. But life is, and we use the term learning curve, and like in education, it's like it just implies you go from A to B in an arc or whatever. But it's commonly used now for like it's a challenge, it's a struggle. Things are going to, sometimes you're going to learn, get some bumps on that learning curve. And I very much agree, and I've had some of those bumps, but I do like they brought it up because I agree. I had some other, I would say probably 2/3 of the songs I was considering were even lower. I've got to start thinking about my taste in music, because so much of the stuff I look at for these lists is like, oh man, really? Maybe I shouldn't do that. Let's play something peppy.
I looked it up real quick, just because we can, because we have technology right in front of us, and the original name was Dawn of the Buffalo, but they misheard it and thought they said Donna.
There you go.
Instead of Dawn. It says a musical friend suggested Dawn of the Buffalo as the name for the band, which was misheard as Donna the Buffalo. So 30 years later, they're still called Donna the Buffalo.
Well, I think that's a better name. So I'm glad that happened. I'm a big fan of Bison, aka Buffalo. And I'm going to show you my shirt. There's a buffalo right there.
There you go.
I won't say any more about that shirt, but and there's a series on right now, another Ken Burns series about the American bison. And anyway, so I'm always, and the idea that there's a buffalo out there, somebody named Donna, that's a capper for me. But anyway, thank you, Jose. And so my next one is Car Wheels on a Gravel Road by Lucinda Williams. And this is another musician. When I first heard her, I was like, I cannot stand that thing in her voice. It's like that twang, it's just too much. I mean, is she taking that? I mean, is she adopting that, or is that like the way she? Well, it turns out she's from Louisiana, and so that's a lot of what feeds her accent. But also, she lived in. I think they spent a long time in Arkansas, and she ended up down in. I think she ended up in Texas. She sure was. There's a show or two I used to listen to on the old KUT radio when they had music on there. There's one show the person just loves Lucinda, and every week you'd hear a bunch of her stuff. So anyway, this was her breakthrough record, and it was. I mean, I know that was when I really heard her a lot more on more standard radio stations. Still not, you wouldn't hear her now on regular old whatever. Maybe not anything by Clear Channel, but she. I had heard of her, like I said before, but I knew songs of hers that got played a lot back in the day. And one of them is "Passionate Kisses." It was ended up being recorded on Mary Chapin Carpenter or something like that. It was both of them had kind of a thing with it, but I love that song and I've loved it for years. And so that was at the point, that was a few years after it came out. I kind of started getting into her. And then this came out, and there are some more after that I really liked too. But I was definitely sold on her. This one has more of a more mainstream sound. It's still got that country thing, but it's a lot more, not less strictly country. And so the song, it's kind of a little vignettes of everything centering around basically the theme of, you hear car wheels on a gravel road with all the pops and stuff. Somebody driving off saying, you better get this place clean before I get back. Somebody she's seeing going down the road and seeing the small towns, the poor shacks, the telephone poles, and then she's like, it sounds like she's going away from wherever she was for good. She's being as a little girl. I'm assuming it's her, and going to some other place. She doesn't know any of the people, and the line in there that always gets me is, all she says is, to stand alone. It's like a little bit of dirt mixed with tears, and I thought that was, it just kind of sums it all up. But I encourage you to check out more Lucinda. Oh, I saw her open for Neil Young once, and she was on an Elvis Costello record and one song, so she gets around. Anyway.
Jesus. Now I agree. That's how I've heard Lucinda Williams, when she's collaborated with other people. But I thought this song was really great. I thought it goes kind of in theme with Backwoods of Mo. It's just telling a little story of growing up, being a part of that world. I've lived in a small town for the last 30-something odd years, and so you know that sound, and you know what she's kind of talking about, and now she's reflecting on her childhood, so to speak, and what was important back then. The funny thing is, I kept always thinking, Mike, you thought about doing a song. I kept thinking she was saying cartwheels on it. I was like, why is she doing cartwheels again? Oh no, that's not the name of the song. It's Cartwheels on the Ground. Once I got over that initial thing, now it's a really beautiful song, and I like how she reflects on her life and that kind. Like you said, Mike, she understands that world. Now you have to, that's a world that is she's attuned to. So now she has to adjust to something else, but she's reflecting on how easy and how different that was. So no, I enjoyed the song a lot.
Yeah, I liked the imagery and the simplicity of it as well. Takes you back to that time, and you can hear the car wheels on the gravel road, but yet she weaves the story in there about her kids and in the kitchen and doing all the things, and even talking about Hank's voice on the radio, probably talking about Hank Williams, I'm sure. And it takes you back to that time. I think it was very well done. I love the melody of it. I like the lyrics of it. I kept going back and looking at the lyrics over and over again, because it was just so well done. Yeah, I liked it. And then as I was thinking about car wheels, and even the as Jose said, the Mo tune, kind of took you back to that. And then I started thinking, well, what song could I put on next? And it had the word wheels in it, and so I went with Darius Rucker and Wagon Wheel. And I know it's probably the most commercial song on this playlist, probably one of the most popular ones, but it's one that when I first heard it, I could never get it out of my mind, and I've memorized all the lyrics of it now, and it's always in my head. And there's times where I'm just outside walking down a dirt road or wherever I'm at, and that song pops into my head a lot. I know he's on the road. He's trying to get to Raleigh to see his baby and all of that. But I did a little research about the song as well, and come to find out, Darius Rucker didn't write it, and he wasn't the first to perform it. That there was, and I wrote it down, and now I can't find the paper. There's something like the medicine. Old String Medicine something band.
Good. Old Crow Medicine Show?
Old Crow Medicine. What?
Show.
Old Crow Medicine Show. And I went back and I listened to that version of it, and it's got more of the bluegrass feel of it, and the different instruments and things, and they have more harmony in the verse part, not on the chorus part as well. And then the other thing I did was, as I was researching it, realized that, wait a minute, they said the song was written by Bob Dylan. And I'm like, I never heard Bob Dylan sing Wagon Wheel. So I went back and listened to the original version of Bob Dylan. And I guess he wrote, I guess, the first verse of that, but the second two verses were added later on, and just shows you that Bob Dylan, as great as he is, and oh, there he is, right in the background of Jose's picture there. That he is kind of a throwaway song. I mean, he's got hundreds and hundreds of songs. This one never became popular, and yet somebody took the chorus of the song, rewrote it, and came away with this version of it by Darius Rucker. And I think it's just so catchy. I like the verses, but I also love the chorus and the harmony in the chorus quite a bit. So I put it on there. It's commercial, but I love it.
Yeah, I have to have another admission here. Boy, I'm starting a lot of these with caveats, but when I before I heard the song, but heard what it was, immediately I thought of Hootie and the Blowfish, which I had never heard his solo stuff as a country musician, but honestly, I didn't really like Hootie and the Blowfish. He, unfortunately, for a long time, was people would call him Hootie. It's like, which one's Pink and Pink Floyd? He was Darius Rucker. He is Darius Rucker. So you know, I only heard what song it was shortly before I heard it, so that reservation didn't last long. It's a good song. You know, it initially I was kind of like, okay, but I woke up one day and the song was in my head, and like all day it was like I was thinking of the song. And the story is great. It's a timeless story. Again, another hitchhiker. He's hitchhiking and he's doing everything he can to get back to his girl. Not sure that she's going to be, if I'm hearing it correctly, not sure she's going to necessarily be welcoming him. And that's such a timeless story. And it's great that, and I know he didn't write it, but for him to perform it, it's good to hear. And I mentioned Old Crow Medicine Show. I know nothing about him, no more than I knew about Donna the Buffalo. I just heard the name. I had read the story about Dylan did that little part of it, which I have not heard. I'm going to have to check it out. Apparently, it's out on some bootlegs. I'm sure everything's on the web now. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I get to fully admit that I saw Hootie and the Blowfish in concert in Fort Wayne. It was free. Always throw out it was free.
I'm not judging anybody. I'm not judging anybody. It's just my personal taste.
I actually saw them in Fort Wayne, and actually they put on a decent show. I'm not going to slag on them. Obviously, they're pretty talented, and Darius Rucker is pretty talented. So it's always interesting to see someone make the transition from, you know, they could have rode, I'm sure Hootie and Blowfish could have rode that train for as long as they can. I think they still on occasion get together. But Darius Rucker made that left turn into, or right turn, depending what kind of turn, into country music. And even I know this song.
Hey, I'm not insulting people when I say that kind of stuff, are you?
No. It's funny because that's what you get. You either get people who really loved Hootie. I mean, they sold 30 million. That cracked rear view mirror sold a shit ton of. And I was invited to the show. There's like, hey, I won free tickets to Who Do You Want to Go See? And I was like, oh, sure. The best part was like, I think They Might Be Giants opened up for them. They are really good.
Oh, I didn't know you liked them. I have so many of their songs I want to.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I love those guys. Never seen them, but I love them.
Right, they're really good. So that was kind of fun. And then Hootie came out, Hootie and the Blowfish, and they did their shtick, and it was okay. Again, like you said, it's, you know, it's there. It's who they are. You know, I never bought that album. I never bought any of their albums. I never made a point to, but obviously Darius Rucker is hugely talented, and you know, to make that transition as a black man into country music, God bless him. You know, to
yeah, oh yeah,
right, and to be so highly successful. And I just saw him recently, like 2 months ago, on like the Today Show, singing about another country song about drinking beer, because he's a big sports guy, and he's a big sports guy who is always on like Dan Patrick and stuff. So you get to hear a lot about him. He's a Dolphins fan. He's a University of South Carolina fan. I think he sang the national anthem at one of their games just recently as well. It's crazy that I know that. I know a lot about Darius Rucker, but going back, this is one of I knew this song. They used to play it a lot at Reds games. I've been to a lot of Reds games,
Really?
obviously. This is a highly commercial song. I mean, I know the song. I think I even know the words to the song. My friend Tom Hendrickson wanted to learn how to play it on the guitar because it's let's face it, it's a great song. It's a catchy tune. It's like Mike said, it's one of those tunes. Once it gets inside of you, it's hard not to not like this song. And so I enjoyed it a lot. I like listening to it. I don't mind hearing it, and as commercial as it can be, that no, this is what people expect when you go, hey, we're making a country and western mixtape. Yeah, this song makes it on there. Maybe not for us, but even it made it on for us. So speaking with songs that probably wouldn't make it on anyone's, but of course, my buddy Warren Haynes, who I love immensely, and I went with The Real Thing. And initially, this song was sung with Phil and Friends when he was part of Phil and Friends, and they actually put out an album, a Phil and Friends album, studio album. This was one of the songs called The Real Thing, and this is just an acoustic version. You can only imagine how nice it sounds with Phil Lesh on bass and the rest of the band. But I picked this song because this song always stood out for me because it seems so heartfelt, and we all know when it's the real thing. We deal with a lot of BS. Mike and I were talking about a lot of BS earlier, but when you're dealing with the real thing, that's when it really hits you. And I think this song really captures that essence of, yeah, this is the real thing. It's the real thing. And I thought this song stood out. Again, it's not a country song really per se, but Warren Haynes is, he's part of the Allman Brothers. He was part of this. He did his thing. So that's why I put this song on, just to give Warren Haynes a lot of love, and I thought y'all would enjoy the song.
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm starting to become a Warren Haynes fan as well. I like the acoustic stuff. I like it's always in my wheelhouse, and so I think I'm gonna have to go and listen to the whole Live at Bonnaroo album, and it's all acoustic, right? The whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'll probably check that out sometime. But yeah, I did a little research too about him, and see that he's obviously played with the Dead and with Friends of the Dead and a lot of that, but also back with the Allman Brothers and Dickie Betts, right, and all of that. And he's, I guess he was, I think I wrote this down. He was like at 20 years old. In 1980, he started playing with David Allan Coe. And remember, we probably put that David Allan Coe song on before, and he played with him for about 4 years. Kind of really got himself going in that, and then again became pretty popular and famous with the Allman Brothers and with the Dead and everybody else. And so I'm gaining a lot of respect for this guy, and realizing how talented he is, and then he can go and do his own thing as well, and his solo stuff. So yeah, I'm becoming a fan.
Yeah, let me just throw in that. Yeah, Government Mules, his group. He started out as a trio, but now it's changed because one of his bass player died, who was also part of the Allman Brothers, Woody. And so, but I highly rate anytime you can get Warren Haynes, you can see him. I think Government Mules coming here. I think I'm going to go see them.
Is he still? So he's still with Government Mules,
right? Government Mules,
okay.
His group that he tours with, and he even does, like I said, he does something called Dark Side of the Mule, where he plays nothing but Pink Floyd songs, old and new, and they're really good. I have to admit, this guy, they don't call him the hardest working guitarist in show business for nothing, and he's all over the place. That dude is played with almost everybody. So, and then
I'll have to look for him. I'm sure he'll come through Colorado sometime.
Yeah, and then he has a Christmas jam every year in Asheville, and he brings in top groups, all the big jam band groups. Everyone's played there, and then he'll sit in with them all, and so just a fantastic artist. But go ahead, Mike.
So yeah, you've played a couple of songs at least off of this Live at Bonnaroo record, and I've loved every one of them I've heard, and I've listened to more of it because the musicianship was so good, and it's interesting all the covers. I mean, I think there's a Soundgarden cover, and I can't remember now. I'm going to go blank on all of them, but it's all great stuff. This song in particular, I liked. It's kind of sad. It's I mean, yes, there are some people that that are they're surface, they're kind of fakey. They don't really let you into who they are, or maybe you don't really ever get to know them, but they were sincere in what everything they did. And if I heard the song correctly, it sounds like he's talking about another broken person. I guess I'm thinking of Sunday Morning Coming Down. Probably, I'm just guessing, a country musician. He's like, he sounds like he's maybe addicted to drugs, and maybe near the very end, but he was the real thing and will always be that, even though he's like, again, you don't know, you don't get the story of really what happened to that guy, and you just get these little images. But I love those kind of stories where you have to kind of piece it all together,
Right.
given the little parts of the puzzle there. So
Let me
good
just
song.
say, Dave would appreciate, it's not on that Bonnaroo, but it does a cover of Madman Across the Water. I'm just saying, it's the best
Really?
cover I've heard of that song. That's all I'm saying. That's my favorite Elton John song. So,
He covers Elton John.
Madman Across the Water, and it is sublime. It is great. It's the
Okay.
best I've ever heard.
I'm
Minus Elton John.
definitely going to listen to that one.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, Mike.
Well, since we're going to talk about Madman Across the Water, that whole album was, I guess, basically the second thing I heard after Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and I love that one. I played that to death. I had it on cassette, which I no longer have, but that was awesome. And I now have it on CD and whatever. Yeah, but my next song is finally Johnny Cash himself makes it on here. This is I think these were called the American Recordings. There's a series that the producer Rick Rubin did with Johnny Cash very near the end of his life, and you can certainly hear did he have Parkinson's? Whatever he had, it was that quiver in his voice became more pronounced. But it really, in these songs from these lists, and they're almost all, these CDs or albums or whatever, they're almost all covers. Covers Nine Inch Nails, and that's probably more well known. That song "Hurt" by some people. He does a great job of a Gordon Lightfoot song, "If You Could Read My Mind." And again, it's as much the song as what's in his voice. And you just check it out. But this song, Tennessee Stud, it's a funny song. It's this guy's journey. It's not not originally a Johnny Cash song. I looked it up. Johnny Driftwood. And the only thing I learned about Johnny Driftwood, besides this song, was he wrote Battle of New Orleans. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. When I was a kid, ran through the woods, they ran through the whatever, where a rabbit wouldn't go. Yeah. Okay. 1800 anyway, whatever.
1814 took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. We probably, many people probably know that song from their childhood. That aside, I love what Johnny Cash did with this one, and it's in front of a live audience, and they participate, a few times. It's a sweet little story and funny. He whooped her brother and he whooped her pa to get the girl finally because they were not fans of his. So there's not much more that I have to say about it. Just check out some of these. It's several CDs, and then there've been some compilations put out there from this series.
No, you're right. And Johnny Cash makes songs his own, and we all go through the Johnny Cash phase. I went through it. I listened to Folsom Prison a lot, and he makes songs his own, and they're sincere. And when he sings them, you feel you're part of that. And this song is really good too. I like the song he was singing and the descriptive of the horse and green eyes, and and then of course it goes full circle. Like he talks about the pa and ma don't like the pa and the brother don't like him, but at the end he gets to beat them up. So all just a well-rounded song. Johnny Cash is. Thank God we put him on here. We'd kind of be stupid not to. We have Willie Nelson, but Johnny Cash is kind of the king of, at least one of the kings of country music. But again, he's one of those few country westerns that we can identify with, that kind of blurs the line between country and western and just great music. And it doesn't have to be put in a pigeonhole. Like I can't listen to Johnny Cash because he sings country music. No, he relates to he crosses over all those lines. And this is a great example of what that does.
Yeah, he was just if I can interrupt one more time, he came out of that Sun Records thing, and that was Elvis, and I guess Jerry Lee Lewis, maybe. I'm not.
Carl Perkins.
Everybody, yeah, Carl Perkins, and so he definitely has his feet in that background that led to a lot of rock and roll.
You lose Dave again? He's having problems with his internet.
I know, but it was a good clean break right there. So when he comes back, he can pause a second and then
makes it easier on your editing.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't mind it. Oh, he's back.
I thought you played Cocaine Blues. I love that song.
I thought of that one. I did. I also thought of something by Johnny Cash's daughter, Roseanne Cash. Okay, so Dave, I guess that was a clean break from my thing. So if you want to pause a second after I quit yapping, and then I can edit up to where you talk like nothing ever happened.
Okay. Thanks.
Someone say something.
So my turn to talk about Tennessee Stud.
Yeah.
So Johnny Cash, yeah. Like you said, it's good that we put him on. Not sure we would have been the same if we had omitted him. I had a couple of songs that I was considering or thinking about putting them on as well. And I knew a lot about Johnny Cash, but I hate to admit that I didn't know enough about him really. And then I saw the movie. Did you guys see the movie Walk the Line?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was so well done. And I learned stuff about Johnny Cash. You learn a lot about him when they do these documentary type movies about people, if they stick to the facts and everything. And so and I got more into some of his music because of just watching that movie as well. I almost put on the song. I really like the duet that he sings called with Roseanne Cash called Jackson. I really like that.
You're going to Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
That's a great song.
Ever since the fire went out, I'm gone, Jackson. Yeah. So I really liked this one. I don't think I was real familiar with Tennessee Stud. I think it's a classic song that's been sung. I did realize that Bobby Bear actually covered it as well. So I went back and listened to his version of it, but not anywhere close to the Johnny Cash version. Once Johnny Cash sings a song, it's hard not to go with his version. Although I went with the Chris Christopherson version of the other song, but no, I liked it a lot. It's a great song. And then it became then it was my turn to kind of finish up at the end. And I don't want to pat myself on the back or anything, but I think this last song was really, really good because it ended how we began. And I was thinking like the bluegrass thing, and what do I know? And then I remembered this Dan Fogelberg album that he did, and it was all country kind of stuff and bluegrass. And he was big in Colorado. I mean, Colorado has the Telluride Bluegrass Festival every year. I've never personally been, but I'd like to go. And then I hit upon this song where it's kind of a two-part thing where he starts out with just the vocal harmonies, down the road looking for the girl, and And then it gets into the song about the mountain pass and heading down the mountain pass and trying to get to his girl and, and all of that. And it sounded just like, very much like the very first song that we heard on the track, on the playlist. And I said, man, this is a good way to bookend this playlist with this song. And I actually wasn't very familiar with it. Like I didn't go, oh, I know this song. I knew this album, the High Country Snows, that had a couple of songs on it that I knew. Most notably, "Go Down Easy" is one of his most famous songs, or one of his popular songs. But I hadn't really and I think I had the album, but I just didn't listen to it that much. And but in preparation for this, I went back to it and listened to a few songs off that album, and I went, oh my, I love those first two songs. And so I think it went real well with the playlist. And now I've heard it, like I've probably played it about 5 or 6 times now in the last week. But anyway, good way to end the playlist.
I agree. It's a great bookend to this whole playlist. We start with the bluegrass, we end with it, and it just goes to show you, that even Dan Fogelberg can throw out some of this kind of stuff as well, and make it enjoyable and make it fun. And I think in the end, that's what a lot of these country, we had a lot of ups and downs with this playlist. A lot of fun songs, a lot of down songs, a lot of introspective songs, and this song is just one of those. Like the very first one, let's just have some fun. Let's sing about this. Let's let the musicians do what they do. Let's let the lyrics speak for themselves. Let's have a good time. And I think it was a great way to kind of wrap everything up.
Yeah, I can't really add much to what you guys said because I had all the same thoughts. I love bluegrass. I mean, I love it a lot more than people who like to ride in cars with me do. So sometimes, Bill Monroe and that kind of stuff, it's like I listen to that by myself. But this is a great song. And, I'd seen that album cover, that picture, but I had never heard any of that as far as I know. And I love Dan Fogelberg. I was so sorry to hear he was so young, that we lost him a few years ago. So now, this is a new one for me to check out. The bluegrass thing was great, and the harmonies at the beginning. I was said there's some other. I don't know if I should make this comparison, but there's a song. Is it Seven Bridges Road that the Eagles?
I was thinking of that same song. It sounded just like that. The Seven Bridges Road. Yeah.
That harmony. Yeah, it's and they do a great job. I don't know who's with them in the harmony, but it's awesome. The only thing I'll add, again, you both have basically said this. That it goes so good at the very bookends, but I'll take it a step further. When I've been playing this, it's just been, I don't start it over each time. I just have it on the repeat mode. And if you weren't really paying attention, you might lose where the beginning of the playlist is in the end, because one going down, steep grades, and the one before it, they go so well together. It could be. It could be on an 8-track, how they used to do these loops. But your children won't know what I'm talking about out there, anybody who may look at this. But anyway, yeah, I thank you, and I'll check that one out too.
Well,
so I don't know who wants to wrap it up.
We can wrap it up and say, I think stepping out of our comfort zone, like I said before, listening to these songs just brings a whole new energy, a whole new type of music energy to people who love music. It's one that, let's face it, I don't get in my car and start playing country music, but when I go on my walks and you're kind of, okay, I got to listen to the playlist, then all of a sudden you get engaged in it, and you want to say, I like this. I want to hear more of this, So it's always nice to get that different kind of genre going, and you're not listening to the same stuff. And like I said, I thought all the songs on here really captured an essence of it. Again, this would never make a playlist on any country and western thing. And of course, I don't think we have anything that's modern, and I don't listen to anything really modern, but I'm not going to discount it, and I don't like to discard it. My whole thing is always people, listen to it, and great music will always rise regardless of the genre. And I think that this kind of encapsulates that.
Well, at some point, we're going to probably get into, as we start exhausting genres and playlists and different things. I'm sure we're going to come up with a country 2 or a strong woman 2 or, something like that, because you have so many songs to choose from that you just can't pick. And I worth noting, I didn't think about it until a few minutes ago, but the one song that that Mike played by Lucinda Williams, right? That was the only was that the only female artist on our playlist? And I'm thinking, how many great female country western singers and artists and everything are there, right? And we didn't even touch on it. So maybe we need to have a country 2, but say, okay, this time we're going to give the ladies their due.
Good idea.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point in general about country music, because it was kind of a man's thing for a long time, and people kind of started. There were always female singers, but to be kind of standing on their own, Patsy Cline really kind of got out there, and she was a strong voice, and kind of Loretta Lynn. What's the one that did? She did. Oh, Stand By Your Man. Some people got mad at that one. Yeah, there you go. Some people got mad about that because it just was badly timed in the middle of the women's lib stuff, which I have no problem with. But all that stuff, and I did have some of those on my list. The ones I mentioned, I had Lyle Lovett singing "Stand By Your Man," but I left that one off. And Roseanne Cash, she did a great record. She's had a number of great ones. I've seen her in concert a couple of times now. She had one that's with it's called The List, and it's all songs that her dad gave her, this list of songs. He said you have to know all these songs. You learn these songs while you're alive. These are the greatest. And so there's some people that we've had on here and others. So I almost had one by her, but we'll get to them. So yeah, I love this. I had a good time too, and looking forward to the next one. We'll get to it in a couple of weeks, and we'll see everybody then.